Apparently it's iPhone season. The new iPhones have been released and I finally got my hands on them. This is the 16 Pro Max and this is the 16 Pro. Honestly, I feel like the hardware has been refined and is really nice this year. And it makes me like these phones a lot more than I probably should. First of all, you have the increase in the screen size. And on paper, it's really not that big of a difference when you talk about like the actual screen size. But when you have it in your hand, this actually feels so immersive. And it's a nice upgrade, especially when you talk about this one. This is the smaller version of the Pros. And because the bezels are so much thinner, that means you get a little bit more screen real estate. So having as much screen as possible in such a small form factor is amazing for me. Like this. And I'll talk a little bit more about the size of this phone later on in this video. But yeah, that is something that I've been enjoying about these new iPhones so far. Then of course we have this new camera control button that Apple has paid their employees to not call it a button, but it's literally a button. And to be honest, this is a pretty questionable change or addition to the iPhones this year. Like it really makes me think, what was Apple thinking? But I won't say it's terrible. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on as well. But yeah, overall, the hardware, I'm actually enjoying it. I think the rounded edges are a little bit more refined this year. The form factor just feels really good in the hand. Matte finish. And I know most people wear a case anyway, so it doesn't even matter. But the bigger screen, thinner bezels, the rounded edges, they all feel really nice to use. Like I don't care too much about bezels and stuff like that. And I honestly don't think that there should be a race for like no bezels at all. You know, smaller bezels means that you can have more accidental touches and stuff like that. However, this is an iPhone, so you're not doing like side swipe gestures that often. If you are, it's like to back swipe in, you know, Google Chrome or something like that. So you're not going to have too many accidental swipes when it comes to iPhones with thin bezels. So yeah, as far as hardware goes, I really like the iPhones this year. It's really cool. All right, so now let's get into the camera control button. So you press it, it opens up the camera. You probably already know that. And then if you slightly press it down, then you can start doing the action that you have it set to. So right now I have it to zooming in and out. And at first, when I actually unboxed this iPhone, I was like, okay, this is it's whatever. And it was kind of getting annoying because I was accidentally pressing it. And especially when, like, let's say you're in the camera app and you're trying to take pictures and stuff, I was accidentally, swiping. But now I kind of learned to not push my hand against the camera button too much. But obviously it still happens. Accidents will still happen with it because it's literally right here where my palm rests. But, I kind of got better at shooting in vertical. I mainly take pictures and videos in horizontal anyways, but I've been doing a lot of vertical pictures and videos for YouTube because I feel like it's just easier to fit in the frame to get more of the image for when you're comparing two different phones. But yeah, so that's been happening, accidental presses. That's just something that's going to happen when the button is so low. Like, I feel like it should have been around here, to be honest. So, or even like right here. I'm not really too sure where to put it, but this right here definitely gets in the way of, like, your hand will definitely press it by accident. But after that, you try to use it a little bit. And so you can do a few different things. You probably saw the videos, but if you double press it, then you can switch to a different function. You can change what it does. So it's on zoom right now. I can switch the cameras, the styles, tones, depth, and all that stuff, exposure. But really, for me personally, I'm only going to be using it for cameras or zoom. And to be honest, I wouldn't even put it on camera. I would just choose zoom because when you zoom to a certain point, it switches cameras anyways. So there's no need to have that camera thing. Unless you don't use any of the other zoom lengths, then it is what it is. But yeah, so that's mainly what I've been using it for. Slight press, then you can zoom in and out. And once you get used to that gesture, it's actually pretty good. Touching the screen is definitely faster if you're going between like the tones and the zooms or whatever, then it could definitely be faster. However, for zooming in specifically, I think this button works better than using the touchscreen, especially when you're not going exact. Like, let's say I want to go to three times. There's not a 3 times shortcut on this iPhone, right? So it's kind of hard to get to 3 times exactly. Like, I often go over by a point or something like that. But with this camera control button, I literally just go there and it's easy to get to 3 times. And I also like that you can take the picture. However, it is like people have been saying it's pretty hard to press. So you kind of move the phone when you're taking a picture, and that could result in like motion blur. And I do agree that it's slightly hard to press, but you kind of just have to adjust because it's not a normal button. And also where the button is very thin compared to the bezel. So it's easy to press on the frame itself and not the button. And that makes the button seem like it's harder to press than it actually is. But once you master pressing it, it's really just boom. Like, it's not that hard. And if you compensate with your thumb at the bottom, it's all right. So yeah, the workflow with the camera control button is literally just boom, go on the camera app, slight press, and then I can start zooming in and out as I need to. I think that's a pretty good workflow and it works well for me. But yeah, the accidental touches is something that I don't know how they can fix it, but they definitely got to fix it. But the cool thing about the camera control button is that it frees up the action button now. So if you had your camera on the action button before, you literally just press the camera control button and it will open up the camera. I really like that shortcut. It just makes it so much easier. But overall, so far, I haven't had the phones for too long, but so far in my experience, it's an iPhone, bro. Like, there's not too much that is different if we're being realistic and honest. There's not too much that's different from the previous models of iPhones. It's literally just the iPhone experience, but better hardware. And the software, like, okay, so I'm gonna talk about the software a little bit more in depth in other videos, but my most favorite changes in the software are coming to the older models of iPhone. So this stuff right here, like, I love the new control panel and how you can customize and stuff like that, but this is nothing that is exclusive to the new iPhones. You don't need to buy a new iPhone for that. And then I also like the home screen editing mechanics now. Being able to place things almost anywhere on your home screen is nice. And then I like that you can turn, app icons into widgets. So if we touch and hold, not all apps can do it. So let me just find the app that can actually do that. Let's see reminders. So yeah, you can see the different options right here when you touch and hold this app. So if I do that, then boom, it becomes this widget. And then I also like with widgets now, you can kind of slide to adjust it. But it's not like Android. You see how the apps just jumped up here? I don't like that. Like, they're giving you a little bit more freedom, but there's still some like automation and like auto snapping that happens. And it's kind of weird. But yeah, the fact that you can like quickly adjust your widgets is kind of cool. But like, there's only a couple of options. The widgets are still very limited compared to Android. But I'm all for the more customization. But like I said, these features are not exclusive to these new iPhones, and they will come to the older iPhones with updates. And then I've already been a fan of Dynamic Island. I think it's cool. It's useful for like music and multitasking that iPhone lacks in heavily. So Dynamic Island is good. And there's more things that I'm gonna explore, like customizing your iPhone. Like, for example, this 2 taps on the back of the iPhone brings up this menu that I customize, and I can add different apps to it or different functions as well, like screenshot, calculator, smart things. I have a Samsung TV, so now I can access my remote on my iPhone very quickly just by doing that. See? And yeah, it's an iPhone experience. I really like RCS now as well, but that's not exclusive to the 16s. So iPhone experience, but it's a upgrade in hardware. It feels really nice in the hand. The cameras, they're upgraded, even though like they still feel very similar to the 15 Pro Max, the 15 series. It's upgraded. There's some new software stuff, but a lot of it is very the same as last year. So now, last thing I want to talk about in this video is this. So this is the gold iPhone 8 Plus, but actually, like, if we're being honest, it's rose gold. It's not like just straight gold. It's a pinkish gold, like rose gold. And the new 16 Pro in this color is basically rose gold. So like, it's not exactly rose gold, but it's basically there. You know what I'm saying? So for the people who miss rose gold, that color is back. I really enjoy the mix of colors. Like, I think the way that the back, it's like a matte washed out color. And then, you have the shiny metal pieces, and this is like a darker gold. And then the rails are a little bit lighter, but then they're also kind of with a matte finish. They do get fingerprints, but it's still kind of matte compared to the shiny stuff that they would use in the past. And yeah, overall, I like the design of these phones, man. I think they look good. This is probably like my favorite looking iPhones since the iPhone 4. iPhone 4 is probably my all-time favorite iPhone design. It's just so sick. It could definitely be refined if it were to release in 2024. But yeah, this is my all-time favorite iPhone design. It's just too tough, bro. And people complain about screen sizes being too small and stuff like that nowadays on certain phones, like the Z Fold series. But we were really walking around with these size phones in our pockets and using them on a daily in our hands, and we were fine. We weren't complaining about this. Like, you got everything that you need to do done on this small screen size. Like, look at this keyboard. It's tiny. I can't even write properly because I'm not used to it. And it's not because the keyboard is bad, it's just I'm not used to it. But after using the smaller 16 Pro, it made me realize that this right here, this phone size might be the size for me. If we're talking about normal slab smartphones, I feel like this size is just perfect, bro. Because like I said, one-handable, very small, like my Z Fold 6, but it's a normal smartphone screen size. Like, I think this is big enough. Perfect. And the fact that it has the same cameras now as the 16 Pro Max, so there's no difference in the cameras between the Pro and the Pro Max, I think that's a really nice upgrade for people who like the base model Pro iPhones and, you know, a little bit increased battery size and stuff like that, I think this is the size to get, to be honest. The best of both worlds. Like, very immersive screen, but still really small compared to nowadays. But yeah, that's it for now. We're definitely going to be testing these phones, taking pictures, videos, all that stuff, comparing it to the Z Fold 6, comparing it to the S24 Ultra, just comparing these phone cameras and, you know, the different software features, all that stuff. So let me know in the comments below what kinds of videos you want to see on the iPhone 16 Pros and other phones. And also, if you like the new iPhones this year. But yeah, that's it for now. We out. Peace.